Energy. It is all around us, both seen and unseen. It affects all the lives within humanity, our great planet Earth, and the entire universe. It is a conscious, cosmic matrix, an ever-evolving cycle, creating, breaking down, and recreating. This is Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Andrea tells us that energy is the foundation of our human experience, intrinsically affecting every facet of our lives, our perceptions, choices, and actions, as well as the challenges, opportunities, and people we attract. So now, please welcome the host of Connected, Andrea Dragonfly.
Hello, good people. Welcome. This is the third episode of Connected, and thank you for all of those who were able to hang with me last week, where we had a severe weather storm and knocked out the power. I had to cross town to deliver the show, and there was still technical difficulties. So I appreciate all those who were with me live. Also, all those who came back to see the show afterward and the recordings. So yes, this is a learning curve, learning about how to deliver a show with new technology. This is definitely outside of my scope, but it's definitely an adventure, and I'm looking forward to learning all that there is and delivering all the different ways that we're connected through the show, and even as I get connected into other areas that are unfamiliar territory for myself. So this is also a pre-recorded show. I'm going to be heading out of town for the week. It's my birthday, so I'm heading out of country. I'm not quite sure if I'll have the internet connection needed for this show, so it's going to be a pre-recorded show. Therefore, no live call-in. If you do have any questions, comments, curiosities, anything along the way, you are welcome to bring them to the Connected Facebook or Instagram page, or even direct message me through my website, and we can work out the information that way. But it's great to engage even on the Facebook site. So I encourage you to post there. And then also, we're just doing a quick review every segment so that we can just kind of bring in what we talked about last week into this week, because again, everything is connected. There's no coincidences that I'm taking it's a slow process. We're covering a lot of things, a lot of concepts, a lot of connection points even. And so sometimes people might think, well, what does this have to do with me right now? Right? And it's like, okay, well, we're going to just take it like baby steps so that we can begin to make these connections and start to recognize, oh yeah, everything is kind of coming together. So last week I did a conversation really just about our lens on life and how our perspective is shaped by our experiences and what we're exposed to. And that also, when we have powerful experiences, what we believe, how we see the world, that lens can shift, pretty rapidly even. And so it can really kind of expand our belief systems, where maybe we could only have, we had these limited beliefs that said, these is what I believe. I have this powerful experience. Now I'm actually curious, more interested in saying, okay, tell me more. Where did that come from? I want to know how this is expanding me, because this is not living within my current belief system. And so I also talked about how we all have, we live in the realm of what we know. And we, of course, know what we don't know. And that this is about consciousness. What are we conscious of, aware of, and connected to? A very simple definition for consciousness. And then also there's what we don't know that we don't know. And that is all around us. And so just a little recap of what we know is really what our lives are focused on. What we're doing in our everyday life, our routines, what we invest our time in is really what we know and what we're aware of and connected to. And then, of course, what we don't know And we know that they exist, these things exist, but we also don't know much about it. We're not really connected to it. We don't have the desire to really seek it out further, or maybe we do, but it's put on the shelf right now and we're going to come back to it at some other time. And then there's that what we don't know operating within us all the time. And so this is the energy that also connects us into what is going on within myself. So I'd like to start with us first because we are having the experience. And so when there's some sort of like agitated energy within us, it's something that we don't know. We just know that something isn't feeling right. Like, there's something going on here, right? And oftentimes we don't know what it is. So we'll go to the doctor. Let's say we're not feeling well. We go to the doctor and the doctor runs all the tests available and they come back and say, hey, we don't see that there's anything showing that points us in any type of direction that says what's going on. But you know there's something happening. You just don't know what it is. And so it takes a little time. It keeps kind of communicating with you. And this is just with ourselves and our health. How are we with our health? It can also show up in our relationships. And so sometimes we are in these, we are relational beings, conscious energy beings having relationships. So we have a relationship with ourselves. We also have a relationship with our significant people, whether that be our partners, our children, our community, our best friends, our parents. And so, for example, if we're having a disconnection with somebody, our partner, our children, family member, when we know that, hey, this doesn't feel right, there's something off, I feel disconnected. So where can I bring that connection piece back into place? You don't really know what's going on. What we don't know is that whatever's happening in the other person may be something completely outside of what we would have ever imagined. So sometimes we have these, we get activated. We have our triggers that kind of set us off a little bit and makes us, grouchy, grumpy, disconnect from one another, angry, frustrated, all of those types of energetics that can actually kind of create more of a separation within that relationship. And so that I've been trying all these different things. So this is what I know to do. I don't know what else to do. Why isn't this working for me? And it lives in the what I don't know that I don't know is that they have a very specific trigger, a wound that lives within them that they're also needing to take a look at and say, well, what's going on with me? And then how do we even have those conversations? How do we come into being with our children, if this is with our child, our partner, our family member, our friend, community member, even at work, our colleagues. And so it really kind of moves us out into these different areas of our connection points, all the places that we're connected to. And then even brings us into further places once we start to really open up to see how much do we not know that we don't know, like even in governments, right? They're going to put something up for the public to argue about or fight over or get concerned about and focus on that. And then the people are focused over here. And while they're arguing out some sort of contentious point, the government might do something over there, which we didn't know that was happening because we're so focused over here. So we can start to see how what we don't know that we don't know can begin to show up in ways afterwards. Of course, in hindsight, we can learn about them. Now, last week I left you with a very quick, and my apologies, I'm trying to figure out how to really work the reflection in at the very end in every episode's beginning. So this learning curve. But I was thinking about an achievement, thinking about something great that happened into your life and what you knew about it at the time. And what you didn't know about it at the time. And then what you didn't know that you didn't know about it at the time. So I'm kind of working through these different angles of what we don't know that we don't know. And it's important because this is a launching pad. This is where we're going to really launch into the rest of how everything comes at us for this show. And so within that space, again, the achievement, that really awesome thing that had happened to you. Sometimes what you didn't know is that it was going to lead you to another amazing thing that happened in life. Maybe it was something that you did at work and it led you to another job opportunity that you could actually have greater resources and whatnot. And maybe it led you into a relationship that you ended up being in partnership and creating family with, and led you a whole different place. Or maybe it led you to a different place in, in the world, and it was a travel opportunity. So all these things, we don't know where they're leading us. And so within that, it's really about connecting into that energy, connecting in to knowing more about ourselves and knowing that that energy is already operating in us. And we're going to discover how and learn a little bit more about that, because it's going to connect us into different points of our lives. And so we're going to go ahead and take a 2-minute break, a little commercial time, and when we get back, we're going to jump right back in. I'll see you then.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. So we are discussing what we don't know that we don't know. And as we expand into that and how this is going to lead us down several different pathways, I want to also just bring into our awareness about some of the interactions that we are having also are very much connected into the what we don't know that we don't know. And you know what, I'm going to back up and I'm just going to correct myself. Every interaction that we have with any other being, any other human being in particular, is that there are 6 energy factors that are playing out behind the scenes. So this is kind of happening with them. So as you're interacting with them, so if this is your partner, if this is your child, if this is your community member, if this is your colleagues at work, and a person starts to kind of like get triggered. And we're going to talk about triggers. Triggers are a part of life. We are always like feeling into some sort of event, some sort of situation that's like, oh, I didn't like the way that worked out, or I'm being offended, or, I'm angry about this. And those are our triggers. And we're going to definitely dive into that in a little bit here. But usually when we're experiencing that within another person, or we know that their energy shifts into this place that we're not really quite sure. Hey, where did you go? What's happening there? There's these 6 energy factors that are operating behind the scenes. And I spoke a little bit to last week. And so the first one that we're looking at is a physical energy. So if you're having a conversation with, let's just say, your partner, and they are, they are hurting. They have maybe they slept wrong. Maybe it might be their back. It could be any part of their body. Maybe they have a headache, right? So it's a physical energetic that's playing out in the physical body that is kind of really running them into this place of uncomfortability. It's making them uncomfortable, maybe a little irritable, not their best. And so when they're in that place, that factor can really drain a person's energy, can really move them into a different place of really being, able to show up and be part of that conversation. There may also be some sort of emotional factor that might live behind any interaction. And again, wherever you're communicating with people. And so maybe that person is going through a very difficult time. Maybe there's a loss in the family. Maybe there is some internal turmoil that they're really having to work through within themselves. There's so many different aspects of how we become emotional. We are just emotional beings. Every stimulus that comes to us can invoke some sort of emotion, right? And so within that, there could be some other energetic that's living within the emotional realm that is really affecting that person from being present, from being able to listen, to hear, witness, see whatever it is that, it needs to be seen within that, communication, to really be present again within, what is happening in the interaction. And then there's also the mental factor. And the mental factor is that place where they are completely trying to have a conversation with you, but their mind is completely somewhere else, whether it's having to pay the bills or something they forgot to do or something at work, so there's these, underlying energetics that are playing out. And I'm giving just quick little examples. Also, we can look at social factors. If a person is feeling unaccepted, uninvited, feeling like there might be some sort of kind of complication within a relationship, within a social, group or setting, then it can really work on how they're feeling about themselves and can make them more distant, more disconnected from whatever the interaction might be. And then we're also looking at environmental. If there's an environmental, factor, and it could be too much rain, or it could be the lighting isn't right, or it could be the cold, weather, or even it being too cold or too warm in the office or when sleeping. So these things can become irritants, and they can get behind a person's energy field and disconnect them from the interaction. And then finally, we can also see the last factor is spiritual. And for many people, some people are very anti the word spiritual, which spiritual in itself is also a synonym for conscious. So if spiritual is one of those words that you're still coming to accept into your life, you can also just exchange it for conscious, because it's aware of and connected to, right? And that is exactly the spiritual progression as well. And so within a spiritual place, this is where maybe I'm not living my life's purpose. There's something else that I feel like I need to be doing, and it's not this. And so there's this other kind of like deeper energetic that when you're interacting with the people in your life, whether they're significant people in your life or just colleagues or other people that you were interacting with along the way, we can see that every one of us is affected by these energies. And so it lives within what we don't know that we don't know. Why is this person yelling at me when I've done nothing wrong? Or, why did this person easily, snap at me if it's not yelling or whatever? But it's one of those pieces that says, this is living in the what I don't know that I don't know. However, if I can just recognize that it's not me, then I don't have to get triggered. I don't have to have a reaction. I can consciously recognize that this is happening. And even though I have no idea what it is, and I don't have to know, I can be very clear that it really isn't about me. So many of us will then become reactive in thinking that it's about us. It's our own insecurities kind of operating in that space. However, within that place, it gives us an opportunity to sit back, recognize, again, it's not me. I'm repeating myself because it's an important piece to receive. And now I can choose how I'm going to respond. And so maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to come back to you later. Or if it's a colleague or somebody who's not more in the inner circle of, your people, if it's somebody who's a little bit more within, your significant people, then you may shift into how can I be more present for what's happening? What are the questions? What questions can I ask that can also just kind of build a closer connection than a deeper disconnection, right? So moving into those places of what I don't know that I don't know. Now I have this concept that came from one of my my coaching tools. And I went through the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching over a decade ago. And I really connected with this program in particular. And this is a program that was founded by Bruce D. Schneider. And he has a brilliant program, very resonant. So I talked earlier in the first episode how there's different things that came into my life, and I had to feel if they were resonant for me. How did, each one of these opportunities feel for me? And so when I came across the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, let's see if I can get my words out here. It resonated deeply, and I was already on a path working with a lot of different wisdom teachers and being able to work energy and learn about energy from these different traditions and just also through experience. And so when I came to the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, this was one of the most beautiful tools that just fell so perfectly into my life, the roles that I was playing. I was also at the time, working in a nonprofit organization. And within that nonprofit organization, working with a lot of different people. I was in service working with homeless and runaway youth, and I had a lot of different colleagues. And so also just a lot of interaction. And when I was presented with this is called I'm going to call it energy perception. However, it's showing up as an energetic self-perception chart. And again, this comes from the IPEC, or Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching program, and I love it. And really what it did for me is it helped me connect into all the different types of people, and it shifted how I experienced the world on a level that said, oh, here is like a trajectory of how I can be energetically within myself. And then also, how can I see others? How can I meet them where they're at? And so this is a chart, and I'm going to also put this chart up on the different social media sites so that you can access it here, because it may be difficult to see just because the words are small and stuff like that. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of explain a little bit about this and how I recognize that this works for me and allows me to know where I'm at every day. Because here we're looking at 7 levels of energy. We're also looking, there's a lot of things in this chart, and I'm going to be as very, concise as I possibly can be with the amount of time that we have available for this. And so with this chart, it's kind of hard to see. So when you have an opportunity to pull it up and really kind of look at it for yourself and see where you're at. Now within this place, this is also, we go through all of these at different times, whether it's different, times in one day, or if it's throughout a month, or it can be out of a period of time. But within this chart, and I'm going to dive deep into it when we get back from this next commercial, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at how each part of this chart lives within us. And it kind of gives us this guide. this guide that we can follow that says, oh, when I'm feeling this way, oh, here's where I can do to move myself into this different position. And so it's really well done, beautifully. And it really has shifted and shaped the way I have experienced the world, being with people, recognizing what's needed, how to meet them where they're at, and how to be in that place of what I don't know that I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and take another quick break, and I will be with you in just a few. So see you then.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. Okay, so we've been looking at energy, right? And so when we talk about seen and unseen energy, and we're going to definitely dive into the seen, unseen energy much deeper, but for the last 3, well, including this one, for the last 2 episodes, including this one, we are looking more at the unseen energies that live within us. And so I'm going to introduce the umbrella concept of energy, that we have 3 dominant energies that live within this umbrella. And so the first part that I'd like to speak to is the anabolic energy. And anabolic energy is like life enhancing. It's constructive, it's creative, it's this energy that builds. And it's one of those energies that we're going to have a higher vibration. And so when I talk about vibration, of course, we're talking about how things are moving within an energetic. And so the higher vibration is operating at a much faster, higher level. And so these are the things that when we're feeling good, we're feeling like, this is peace and ease and love and joy and grace and all those pieces that we are connected to that bring us joy and happiness, right? Or just that feel good. That energy that's like, I really like this, that connection. And there's so many different energetics that live in this anabolic energy. Now, we also then move into a neutral zone. And that neutral zone is energy that is just benign neutral. It's just there. We can know that when we're just in a place of neutrality, we're operating in that neutral zone. So we're not really feeling one way or the other. We're just existing. We're just being, right? And then, of course, within that neutral zone, we can move into an anabolic state, or we can move into what's called a catabolic state. Now, a catabolic state is more like, it's life-consuming. So it's more destructive. It's going to be like an energetic drain on our system. So it's one of those energetics that also can really like drop a lot of, adrenaline into our system, or cortisol. And these are different chemicals our body produces that actually can be a little bit more harsh or destructive within our energy anyway. And so the catabolic energy operates at maybe more of a denser energetic pace. So it's not, the vibration of it can be a little slower. Now, again, if you're hitting the adrenaline and you move into, fight, flight, or freeze, then also your heart might be pumping, right? And you may definitely be into what you might think would be a high, vibration, but this is going to be a completely different energetic. You're really into that fear-based energy, where the higher energetic is going to be more in that place of ease and peace. So not fear, but the peace energy. So there are two different kinds of energetics and how they operate within our system. Now, within this chart that I showed you earlier, and we're going to bring it up again. So within that, we're looking at how there's 3 circles in the middle. There's a dark kind of like blue circle, then there's a blue circle, and then there's an outer purple circle. And one of these circles really represent how we move ourselves from these different energetics. And that center circle is the circle of self. And when you get a chance to look at it more deeply, this is where we are really in that more catabolic energy. We're more in that energy where maybe we grew up, and I talked a little bit about how our lens on life might have been developed because maybe we didn't live in a very safe environment. We didn't have safe family members, or, whatever it might have been that created the feelings of lack. So this is an energy where we're lacking something. And so it designates also a kind of a lower sense of esteem, a lower sense of worth, a lower sense of personal identity, meaning that I don't really know exactly who I am in the world. I'm trying to figure it out, or, we can also move into these places of just like, life is tough and, I'm not going to ever get what I want type of thing. And we're going to be looking at how this is the energy, that catabolic energy. So it also comes from this place of like an unconsciousness where we're unaware, unconcerned, indifferent. We're really kind of like, not believing in anything else. It's also kind of like a no faith place. We don't believe that this is ever going to change. And so it's that low energy. And so that's the kind of like low, denser, kind of slow vibrational energy. And it can be, so it's a low frequency. So it's very unenthusiastic. There's no joy in life. It's this place of, life is tough. And so that in itself is the circle of self. It's this me lacking that there's something more, that that I'm not full and fulfilled. So there's something missing here. And in level 1 energy, which, and again, we all go through these at different parts, of our lives. And sometimes this could be where one person lives dominantly in their life, or it could be where we bounce in and out of it at different times, again, throughout the day, the week, the month, the year. So with a level 1, there's a core thought. And the core thought is it's this victim thought. Now, I know that I'm not what would be considered a victim of, other experiences in my life. But I also know that I can certainly be at the effect of things. So I don't mind the word victim because, yes, oh my goodness, I'm a victim of my situation. If we were to get into a car accident and your car definitely got, kind of totaled, you're like, I'm at the effect of this situation. Not only am I late for where I'm going, now my car is experiencing, mass, damages. How am I going to figure out my life, right? Now I just experienced this with technology. I get level 1 energy with technology. So it's this place where it's like, I'm at the effect of it. It has this energetic power over me that says, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And it really puts me into this energetic of like, I want to kind of give up. I want somebody else to do it. I don't want to deal with it kind of energy. And we all know people like this. We all know people who fall into this. So it's not that people are living this in their dominant energy, but we also know people who live this energy dominantly as well. There's also this core feeling, and the core feeling is this apathy of not caring, not feeling connected, not, it's just like life is too hard. I kind of give up, right? I don't want to be in it. I don't want to do life right now. And then there's this also action and result. And you're going to see this on the chart when you look at it closer. And this really comes into this place of lethargy, and it just like it drains you of your energy. So you can think about, where in your life does this energy show up? How often does this energy show up for you? Does this live in your life more often than you would like for it? Or does this energy come and go appropriately and you can handle it, and it doesn't do anything in particular to really get you moving in life, right? Or doesn't do anything to keep you stuck in life either, right? So it's really about, how is this energy operating within you? And so when I recognize that I'm in this state, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, how long do I want to be in this place before I want to move to the next level? Now, the next energy that lives within the catabolic state, because there's two energies in that middle circle box, which is an energetic of conflict. So this is the core thought here, is that, there's something wrong here. And there's a conflict. It's not going the way I want it to go. And then there's a core feeling here, which is going to be that anger. And that there's this also the action and the result is going to have some level of defiance. And we can look at the world. We can look at so many different people having this response to their life experience. Something isn't fair. So they're wanting to stand up and fight for that. There's the conflict here. You're getting what you want, but I'm not getting what I want. So I'm deserving. And if I'm deserving, I'm going to actually put my energy out there to really get what I want. And if not, I'm going to be defiant. I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get my fair share, because I'm a human. I'm important too. And so we can look at this and see that when we're interacting with a person who's angry, who's got a conflict happening within them, whether it's, within some other realm of their life, or with it's with you in particular, or some other area of the workplace or whatnot, we can recognize, there's this want and desire that there's something not fair, and they really would, they or myself want fairness. And so we get into this action energy. So with level 1, I feel like it's more cerebral. You're kind of like in this, I don't want to, I can't, somebody else, help me, or, frustrated and like, oh, woe is me. Why does this happen to me? That's the level 1. Then the level 2 is that action. So we're moving from more of the cerebral, like, mindset, to the more actionary, like anger. We use our bodies, to use and express ourselves in those ways. And so those two are the dominant energies that live within the catabolic, and that they're kind of destructive. And of course, we've had this, the saying for so long, like a dog eat dog world out there, and you have to fight for what you want. That is the old world. That is not what this new world is going to be about. Now, of course, there's going to be lots of shifts and changes, and we're going to see violence. We're going to see people standing up and rising for wanting to be seen and heard within that conflict-oriented space. And so it's about, okay, yes, the world is changing. People are demanding in a certain way, commanding even in a certain way, to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized, and for them to have, their needs met. And so we're going to also, this is very helpful because as we're looking at the world, as we're looking at our lives, as we're looking at people, we can begin to recognize how are we within ourselves? Who are we with? And what's happening in the world as well. And so we're going to also take another quick 2-minute break and dive into the rest of this and just explore it for ourselves as to how this works and how this can really help us and even liberate us in knowing that, oh my goodness, there's choices here. I can choose where I want to go. And so I'll see you back here in 2.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hey there, welcome back. And so as we're moving through this slide or through this diagram, the energy self-perception chart, we then begin to move into this next place. And this place is the circle of mastery. This is where we begin to learn more about how we can create our lives to be in a really good solid flow. And so within that blue circle, it's kind of like more of a royal blue circle, it really kind of speaks to the fact that this is where we're developing our egos, a stronger sense of ego, of confidence, of who we are. And we recognize that we have, the things that we have are all around us and that we have access to resources. We're becoming more aware and that we begin to at least have some sort of outer faith in knowing that, hey, there's people that we can connect to. There's energetics that we can really, tap into that's going to bring us to these places of our own self-mastery. And it operates at another level of like a mid-frequency level. And within the level 3 energy, this is that energy that really brings us into that neutral zone. So it's like a bridge between the catabolic energy to the anabolic energy. So that level 3 is the bridge. It's that neutral place. It's that place that when we're angry, we can kind of like calm ourselves down and begin to move ourselves up the energy, up the energy levels. So we're going to be moving into this place of level 3, which is a place of responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility for myself. You do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to just kind of take care of me. And it's also a place where we can begin to experience like, okay, I understand that you don't have all the information. It's also this place of forgiveness. Let me see if I can get my words out today. My apologies. We can forgive people. I forgive you for not having all the information. I forgive you for not knowing. So we can move into these places. And then also moving into this more action-oriented space of cooperation. How do we work together to be able to get what is needed, to be able to move forward? And then when we move into that level 3, we can just be, this is where you put your nose to the grindstone, you just keep moving. And a lot of us are here. It's like we're not getting exactly what we want, but we know we got to do what we need to do so we can get what we want. So we move ourselves in that direction. And then with level 4, this is more about coming into a place of like a place of, the core thought here is concern. And the core feeling is the compassion. And the core action and result is service. So this is where we're putting ourselves more into being of service, moving into these energetics with others. How do I can be more compassionate with myself? There's something going on with me. I'm going to have concern. I'm going to really connect into saying, okay, you know what? Whatever's happening is okay. Compassion, compassion, compassion. And then we can give it out to others. And so not only does this work with us and humans, but it also works with organizations and how businesses operate. You think about the services, these are going to be all sorts of health services, as well as nonprofit organizations and things like that, right? So we can even look at, how do different businesses operate within these levels of energy? When we move into level 5, this is where the great leaders live. So this is an energetic that is all about core thought is there's a reconciliation of that there's no right or wrong or good or bad here, that we're all coming together, that we all have purpose, that we all have unique individual gifts that we bring to the table to make the world work the way the world works, make the family run the way the family is run, right? We're all coming in to contribute ourselves in this lovely place that's no person is better than the other, that we are all coming together in teamwork and connected into that, connected into that place. And then there's this peace energy, the feeling that comes in with the energetic of level 5 is peace and ease. We got all of this. The action and result is acceptance. And most people live their lives up to this circle. And at this circle, they are fulfilled. And they're like, okay, we got it. And then they don't really expand outside of this. So because when we move into the next circle, we're moving into the circle of transcendence. And this is where we start to recognize that everything is connected. So this is where we move into this next phase. So here we move out of strong ego into the fact of no ego. What does that even mean? We're going to dive into this a little bit later in our next shows to come. This is a place of being, not having to do anymore. This is an energetic that moves us into a higher capacity of energy connection. And we're conscious. We're conscious that there are these different levels of energy, different depths and frequencies we can connect into. And that there's no outer faith, that it's not, I believe in the world, it's I believe right here inside of me. And that I'm already connected to all of that. So it operates at a higher frequency. And with that level 6 energy is really about the synthesis of how everything comes together and how everything is moving. There's a sense of joy in the feeling. And then in the action and result is the wisdom that comes in with that. And it's hard to understand how everything that's happening in the world is actually happening for the greater growth of humanity, because there's such atrocities that are happening. How can that be good? And so we will be talking exactly how connected that is to everything we're talking to, even at this. And then the final level 7 energy is all about non-judgment. The core thought is the non-judgment. There's nothing to judge. Everything is exactly as it needs to be. And the feeling is this absolute passion where it's the creation. It's that creative energy that we can tap into. And this is where we can, be writing our books and creating songs. And this is that creation energy. And then, and so it really brings us into this knowing that we live in each one of these at any given time. And we have a dominant energy. And so within our dominant energy, what is the energetic level that we live in most often? And then from there, what's the second energy? Because sometimes a person could be like living in level 5 and then drop down to level 1 as their second energy. That's their quick shift. Or maybe they move into level 2, right? Or maybe they move to level 3. So I encourage you, as we end this show, this is the homework for the weekend, is to go inside, try it on. Say, what is my dominant energy? What am I living in most often? How long does it take for me to shift from my dominant energy when I am, when I actually drop into this other energy? How long does it take for me to shift back into that dominant energy? And so with all of that, enjoy. I know that was a lot of information, but think about and feel into how this can really open up connection into your life. Because again, it's a platform for where we're jumping. Again, always a pleasure. I'll put some notes out onto Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me there. And any questions, please bring them. Enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you very soon.
This has been Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Join Andrea each week on an extraordinary journey, exploring the consciousness of energy and how you are connected. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.